This is the Vauxhall Corsa, and it's a little bit like a cottage pie ready meal from Lidl because it's affordable, it's a popular choice in Great Britain, and of course it does the job. This though is the Corsa-e. It's electric, and that's why I have the lentil vegan friendly cottage pie. Anyway, I'll eat that later. Now in this video I'm going to talk you around the car, the exterior, the interior. I'm going to see how practical it is, take it for a drive, and of course I'm going to launch it to see how fast it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour, because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching CarWow. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon, and that way you won't miss a single upload. Buy, sell, CarWow. The Vauxhall Corsa is quite an inexpensive car, so it starts from around £17,000, and you can save an average of about £1,700 on one through CarWow. Now you can get the car with the choice of 3 different petrol engines. They're all 1.2 litre. The first one is just 75 horsepower. It's too slow. You need to upgrade to one of the turbo petrols, and then you can have either 100 horsepower or 130 horsepower. The entry level car actually only comes with a 5-speed manual gearbox, whereas the high power versions get either a 6-speed manual or you can get an 8-speed automatic. Or you can forget all that internal combustion engine nonsense and go for the electric version, which is what this car is. Then you have 136 horsepower, and we'll see exactly how quick it is when I launch a bit later in the video. We'll also see how efficient it is, how far you can go on a single charge. There is one thing you do need to know about the electric car, is that the starting price is quite a bit higher than the petrol version. It starts from around £27,000. So it's important that you click on the pop-out button up there, or follow the link in the description below to check out the latest offers and savings on new cars through CarWow. You can also sell your current car through CarWow. Just upload some photos and our dealers will bid on your car to make sure you get a great price for it. If you want to do that at a later date, just simply Google "Wow Me CarWow" and we will wow you. The design of the new Vauxhall Corsa is fairly neat and tidy. It's nice from the rear. This being the electric version, you get a little E badge there, which looks kind of like a Pac-Man. Wheel sizes start at 16s, rise to 17s, and this being the electric car has these aero wheels for improved efficiency. The top 2 spec cars get a contrasting black roof and pillars like that. Otherwise it's just body colour, that's fine. And generally it's a really nice looking car. It's not in your face, it's not overly special, but it's not ugly either. I quite like it. I think they're doing a good job. On the inside, the Corsa is a fairly safe and conservative design. It's nice enough, but it doesn't really wow you in the same way that a Peugeot 208 interior does, which is a bit of a shame, because actually underneath the skin they're exactly the same car. If you want to see my full in-depth video review of the Peugeot, click on the pop-out button up there, follow the link in the description below. But generally, you know, quality's all right. Yes, it's hard materials on the top of the dash, but it's to be expected. But you do have some leatherette here, and the seats are quite nice. And quality generally feels pretty good and robust. Quality of the infotainment screen, not so good. It's a bit washed out, not the sharpest graphics. And the system itself is a bit confusing to use. Anyhow, what you're going to do is just plug in your phone and use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. The digital driver's display does the job, it's fine, but once again the graphics aren't the sharpest and it's a little bit like that with not all that much information. What I can't fault is the driving position. It's pretty good, and you can get the seat quite low if you like that kind of thing, and then it feels a little bit more sporty. You might want to jack it up, and there is lots of height adjustments in it, which is a good thing, and there's plenty of adjustment in the steering wheel as well, which you don't always get on small cars. In terms of storage, a couple of cup holders there. Yeah, they're fine. Some weird recessed area there, which I suppose no, I thought you could put your phone in there, but you definitely can't. Then there's this big tray here, which for some reason has a shark etched into it. Now I've actually got a tattoo of a shark somewhere on my body. Can you guess where it is? Yeah, let me know in the comments. Pin comment, especially for that. Oh, look, there's some storage under here. And you've got some big door bins. One thing I like about this car is that everything's pretty logically laid out. So drive mode there is to get to, and you've got a couple of buttons there. Handily, look, you can turn off the lane departure warning there, so it's easy to do. You don't have to dive through a menu, and you don't have to dive through a menu to control the climate control either. It's all just easily accessible there as well, which is good. Here in the back of the Vauxhall Corsa, headroom is all right. Knee room is a touch tight though, so this seat is in my usual driving position. I'm not the tallest, so if you had someone sat behind you who is long of leg, they may end up like kneeing you in the back. A Skoda Fabia is roomier in the rear, and if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow my link in the description below. Another thing to note is that there's a bit of a hump in the floor there, which can get in the way of your feet if you're having to sit in the middle seat, which isn't ideal in this car anyway. Still, unlike some electric cars which have raised floors because the battery's underneath, the Corsa doesn't, because it's actually designed mainly as an internal combustion engine car, and that means that the footwells are nicely recessed so that you don't feel like your knees are too high in the back. What you do notice though is that these seatbelt buckles sort of jab you in the arse. They should be recessed somehow. That's not a very good design. Another thing that's not so good is this, look. Rear windows, they don't go all the way down. Bit of a pain, that is. Another thing that's a bit annoying, ISOFIX angle points. Now you get to them via these zips, but when you're trying to fit a baby seat, you end up like faffing around trying to like find the actual location point because it's quite far in there. And if you want to actually get the seat into place in this big bulky one, you need to put up the rear headrest, otherwise it won't fit. But you don't have to move the passenger seat forward at all to get the seat in there, and you can rotate it round as well to have it in the rearmost position. So that's good, it does fit. Last thing you need to know, door bins back here are acceptable, and there are some pockets here as well. If you have a petrol version of the Corsa, the boot capacity is 309 litres, which is about average for this size of car. But if you have the electric version, because you've got some batteries under there somewhere, the boot capacity is reduced slightly to 267 litres. And you'll notice there's a bit of a lip to lift things over, which isn't ideal. It'd be nice if they'd given you a false floor to raise that up to get rid of that boot lip, and it would have meant that there's somewhere to hide this load cover underneath so it doesn't get crushed if you load the boot full. As a result, I'm just going to have to get rid of it. When you fold down the back seats, you'll notice there's a bit of a ridge there, which makes it harder to then load items into the car and get them towards the front. Once again, if you had that adjustable boot floor like some of the small cars do, it wouldn't be such an issue. And you know what? There's really nothing going on in this boot. There are a couple of tie-down hooks, but that's about it. No 12-volt socket or anything. You sort of get the feeling the Vauxhall have just made this car going, right, what does the car need? It's got wheels, check. It's got some engine or electric motor, check. It's got some seats, check. It's got a boot where you can put things, check. And they haven't really gone the extra mile. They haven't tried to do anything special. It's just adequate. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about this car. Oh, the glove box, look at it. You see, this car is actually designed to be left-hand drive, and when they've moved the steering wheel across, they haven't moved the fuse box across, and as a result, you've got a small glove box, which is half the size it should be. Yes, you can fit the manual in it, but look at the pouch for the manual. It's just a little bit of cardboard. It's rubbish. It's going to look knackered very, very soon, and you could give me leatherette. That'll probably be eco-friendly as well. Yeah. When you fold down the rear seats, the seat belt flops behind it, then when you put it back up, like you're in a rush, it's now trapped. Why don't they just fit some little plastic clips there, which will hold the seatbelt in place? Can't be that expensive, can it? You see that there? That is the only USB port in this car. This is a range shopping model, and it's the electric version, so you think it would be replete with USBs. But that's a lot. It's a real pain in the arse, well actually the knuckles, when you try to adjust the backrest in this car, because you have to wedge your hand in this little gap here, and then when you turn in that dial for the ratchet, oh, you lose the skin off your knuckles. Speaking of which, regardless of which model of Corsa you go for, none of them is available with lumbar support. I like the fact that you have an adjustable armrest which slides forward, but do you see a slight problem here? Yeah, when you're driving, trying to get that out there, like, oh shit. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. You can get the Corsa with lots of big car technology, such as matrix LED headlights, which will blank out part of their beam so they don't dazzle oncoming drivers. You can also get interior ambient lighting for the cabin, and a massage seat for the driver. Ooh. It's nice that you can get a glass roof for this car. I like the fact that Vauxhall hasn't overcomplicated things by fitting a blind that's electrically operated and invariably slow. You see, they haven't needed to, because let's say you're driving along and it's a little bit too bright, all you have to do is this. Done. If you've got the electric version of the Corsa, you can use the Vauxhall Connect app to actually set the car's temperature before you get in it, so you can have it cooler in the summer or warmer in the winter. So it's just perfect for when you want to drive away. No, I can't be bothered to download that app, so I'm just going to send a text to one of the film crew. You can get ISOFIX anchor points for the front passenger seat, which is really good, because it means that you can actually have your baby next to you when you're driving to keep an eye on them. Oh, baby.
This car may only have a single rear view camera, but it uses it to great effect because it actually has a computer program which draws in what it's seeing from that rear view camera to give you a virtual bird's eye view of the car. And then when you're reversing and you get close to an object, it can also use a similar system to create this top-down view so you can get dead close to the bushes. Look how close to the bushes I am. Maybe too close.
There are some specific facts you need to know about the electric version of the Corsa. So it has a 45 kilowatt hour battery pack that gives you a range claimed of around 220 miles on a charge. Now you can charge it at a DC charger at speeds of up to 100 kilowatts. And this one is available with 11 kilowatt onboard charging. So you can charge at 11 kilowatts at an AC charger, which means you can go from empty to full in around 5 hours, which is fairly decent. Now, which version of the Corsa should you go for? The electric, one of the petrols, and which of the 7 trim levels should you go for? Confusing. Well, to save you that hassle, I'm going to configure what I think is the best Corsa using CarWow. And if you want to find out what that car is and the saving through CarWow, click on the pop-out banner up there, follow the link in the description below. I've broken my screen. Let's see what this Corsa is like at higher speeds when you're on faster roads or on the motorway. So let's just check out the pickup from 50 miles an hour. So I'm going to overtake the car in front. Here we go. That is quick enough. And when you're going at those speeds, the car is reasonably quiet. Little bit of wind noise occasionally from up here, but it's not intrusive at all. Actually does a decent job. Now when you're cruising on the motorway, it's going to affect your efficiency, but overall I've managed 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. Look, the only problem is it's very hard to see it on this system. This is the worst trick computer in the world because it just doesn't record your overall average. It just gives you this blooming pointless graph. But yeah, I did a test, 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, which when you work that out to the battery capacity on this car, it means you're gonna get a range of around 150 miles, which is like, okay, but could do better. Let's see what this Vauxhall Corsa is like to drive. Now, if you're gonna be doing lots of driving in town, the Corsa-e is the one to go for because it's silent, it's effortless, and of course it's automatic, so it's just dead easy. One thing I do notice is that while the suspension is soft, it sort of gets a bit fidgety over rougher surfaces and jiggles you about occasionally. It's not as smooth or a sophisticated feeling to drive as a Volkswagen Polo, and if you want to see my full video review of that car, click up there on the pop-out banner or for the link in the description below. One way this car does beat the Polo though is the turning circle. So it's 10.4 meters. If I can turn around here, look, no problem at all. Steering is really light, so that helps when you're doing maneuvers such as this. Yeah, it's all good. When it comes to parking, well, first of all, I've got to find a space, but thankfully this car isn't too big, so I'm going to have a little bit of a mooch about. But while I'm driving around, I can put the car into B mode, which increases the regen braking on this car, this electric version. Obviously, you don't get it on the petrol version. And when you lift off the accelerator, you get a pronounced effect of the regen, so it slows you down. Unfortunately, there's not one pedal driving, so it won't bring you to a complete stop. So look, it keeps on going. Oh, sorry. I don't have one pedal driving, please forgive me. I think I might have annoyed them a little bit then. Another thing that annoys me about this car, they're going to get really cross, they're following behind, is that when you lift off and go for the brake, I don't know what it is, but for some reason the brake pedal goes down itself before you're actually pressing it. Now I know Corsas are used for, you know, driving instructor schools and for learners. It's as if it's got dual controls. So it's happening now, it's just odd. It's almost like the car version of a Ouija board, like there's some spirit operating the brake pedal and telling you to brake. Gotta find a space and parking this thing, even if you find a tight space that you have to squeeze in. In fact, you know, I'm gonna give myself a challenge. You get a decent view at the back window, the camera system helps, door mirrors a decent size. The only issue with visibility is that the rear pillar is quite fat, so when you're pulling out certain junctions and you're looking over your shoulder, it can create a bit of a blind spot. Other than that, great in town, this thing, great in town. Let's see what this Corsa is like on a twisty country road. First thing to note is I'm gonna have to put it in sports mode because the steering just feels too light when you're going quicker through some bends, and it's sort of official, a bit like a PlayStation, though it's not quite as natural feeling as a PlayStation. It's better in sport mode because it adds some weight, so it doesn't feel quite so vague, but still, yeah,
It's a bit of a shame really, because the car actually goes around corners well. There's lots of grip, the body doesn't lean too much, it's all fine. Steering just lets it down. It's nice having the punch of the electric motor there on a twisty road, because you can accelerate quite nicely at the bends, and the car, despite being front wheel drive and having that instant response from the electric motor, doesn't struggle too much in putting its power down. Yeah, it's all right, this. Vauxhall says his Corsa-e will do 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds. Well, let's find out the truth with my specialist timing gear here. 3, 2, 1, launch. No traction issues there, just took off. Steady performance. What's it going to be? 8.1 seconds. I'll give it one more go. Off we go. Ooh, launcheroo. What's it going to be? What's the time? 8.09 seconds. Not quite as quick as they said, but not slow either. Finally, I'm going to do a brake test from 60 miles an hour, see how long it takes this car to stop. It shouldn't be too far because it's a smallish car, but it's a bit heavy because it's electric. Here we go, 60. Right, what did we do? I reckon it's going to be good. Stop from 60 miles an hour in 33 metres, which is all right.
So then, what's my final verdict on the Vauxhall Corsa? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should consider the Corsa. It's actually a really decent car. It just doesn't do anything particularly special. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. Click on those windows there for some more videos, and on that box there to go to carwow to sell your current car. And I did a little bid on it to make sure you get a great price. Thanks for watching.